What's up, everyone? Welcome to another Sunday afternoon Instagram live session. Going to be joined by Adam of the Audience Please podcast, who Adam in. So yeah, looking forward to having a little chat with a fellow podcast host. There he is, the man himself.
Hey,
How's it going, man?
yeah, not bad, not bad.
Caught a bit of sun on your face, I see.
Yeah, had a lovely day in the sun on Blackheath. Had a couple of beers and today chilling. So yeah, feeling all right, man. It was nice to get out in the sun for a bit yesterday. How about you?
Yeah, kind of the same. Like, been trying to take up as much sort of sun as I can on more regular dog walks, but being a tasty motherfucker, I need to layer on the sun cream as much as I can.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I slathered it on yesterday because not long since, actually just before lockdown, I got like sleeve tattoo finished, so I really had to lather it on because I don't want to wreck my tattoos as well.
Yeah. I don't have any tattoos, but I know that that's something you need to kind of look after and obviously not damage, especially in the sun. But the reason I kind of wanted to get you on is because obviously, like, during lockdown, you've been pretty sort of proactive in sort of what you've been doing with the podcast in terms of kind of supporting like artists and things like that. But like, before we get into all that, like, what's kind of like been the thing that's affected you most regarding sort of lockdown? Like, I know obviously both me and you are in a similar boat in not being able to attend like festivals and stuff because obviously they've all cancelled and things. But has there been anything specifically that's kind of had a knock-on effect for you?
Yeah, so interestingly, well, I kind of lost my job. I don't know whether it was necessarily because of lockdown, but in my day-to-day, I worked for Expedia, which is obviously a huge global travel company.
Yeah.
And actually, the last day at the job was the Friday of lockdown, like the Friday as lockdown started. So,
oh shit.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird time to not have a job. So it took me sort of a couple of weeks to really sort of settle into lockdown because I didn't really know what to do with myself. And I obviously, like with the podcast as well, I had loads of interviews lined up with bands. I was talking to like Black Peaks, well, the guys in St. Pierre, Snake Invasion, and Sugar Horse about maybe doing merch for them on their tour with Black Peaks. So yeah, I had this cool shit lined up, and then within a moment it was all taken away. So yeah, it was like quite a big impact on my life in general. So yeah, but then a couple of weeks into lockdown, I was like, right, cool, I need to be more proactive and do this, that, and the other. Yeah, obviously been doing loads around the podcast and things with like events for like Save Our Venues and stuff. So yeah, I've tried to make a bad situation more productive, but in a more creative way. So it's been kind of a good challenge.
Yeah, because I think like remind me if I'm missing any, but I know obviously you've done like stuff to obviously towards the NHS. You've, as you mentioned then, like stuff with the whole Save Our Venue campaign. You did something with the tour that never was, guys, and then the quiz you did Friday, was it yesterday or Friday?
Friday, yeah,
it was for Mother's Ruin. So obviously, like, take away the NHS stuff is still kind of all sort of music centric sort of stuff. So like, was that something that you wanted to kind of get involved in? Like, because I know specifically with the Mother's Ruin stuff, obviously you've got connection with those guys, but like, were they campaigns that you just wanted to get involved with in general? Like, or did people kind of come to you? How did those kind of things all come about?
I was just very proactive. Like I said, beginning of lockdown, because of all the tours being cancelled and all the interviews I had lined up with bands, it was like, well, can't really do those anymore. I'd had a couple of interviews that I'd already recorded with the guys from Portal's promotion, but they obviously have had to cancel their Portals Weekender, and it was just adapting and pivoting, I suppose, with the platform that I built and the people and the connections that I had. And it was like, well, what can I do on this platform that's useful right now? So the first thing I did was for Small Pond label, actually, because in Brighton, they have a recording studio that they had to shut down. So that was one of the first things I saw. And that was just before the Save Our Venues thing got launched by the Music Venue Trust. And then, when the Music Venue Trust launched the Save Our Venues thing, I pretty much just wrote a list of venues that I thought were really great venues that I'd been to before. Reached out to the one for the Crawford Arms in Milton Keynes and the Boiler Room in Guildford, which is like my old stomping ground. And I was just like, right, what can I do? I know it was the very like lockdown thing to do, but like writing a quiz, I was like, it's the easiest thing to do, like live stream it or whatever. And then like the Mother's Room one was really good fun on Friday because I changed it up a little bit and got bands on the stream, and we raised like about 200 quid. So for an hour's work of a quiz, and it was just nice to hang out with mates as well on the stream as well. So it was all around good fun. And there was like other stuff that I've done. Did a couple of live YouTube interviews as well. So that was something I had to learn how to do. It was very, very challenging on the technical setup. But did an interview with Heads, who are a German band, and and the Tours That Never Were as well. And the Tours That Never Were, again, they're supporting not just the bands but the crew that work with those bands. So I thought it's a really good shout out, and I know they've got a lot of coverage since as well. So it's just using your platform to sort of amplify those causes and keep going, I suppose.
Yeah, and just in terms of kind of like the whole kind of quiz thing, because I've got to be completely transparent and honest. Like I'm not one for quiz, but obviously like a lot of people have been jumping on this like Zoom quiz and everything like that. So like for you as quizmaster, what have you kind of found like the most sort of difficult thing to come up with interesting and challenging questions?
It's because I've done so many now. I've now got like a note on my phone of just ideas for quiz rounds, and actually there's so many people. Obviously it's been such a big thing during lockdown, you can just Google it, so I kind of stole a couple of ideas off like articles stuff. And there was a really good one. So there was a round that I did on Friday actually, and everyone really enjoyed it, and it was a fun round, not necessarily a massively music related round, but it was cheese or service station, and just getting a list of like British cheeses and a list of service station names.
Okay.
And then just picking 10. And you know what? Everyone found that round really fun, and people actually got like 10 out of 10. It was really... So like the one I did on Friday as well. I've tried to tie it in with the venue or cause that I'm doing it for. So I did like a Bristol round one on Friday because Mother's Ruins in Bristol. And just try the challenge is actually like when you're writing it, I'm like, there's loads of stuff that I know and I think are interesting facts, but then when you write it down, I'm like, no one's actually going to get that question. So you've got to make it like accessible as well. So but it's good fun, like sitting down for like 3 or 4 hours and putting it together. And you do end up learning some like really weird facts. So the one on Friday, I found out that Courtney Love once fronted Faith No More back in the day before my... so it's like shit like that you learn is just like really weird. But it's good fun, man.
I've got to ask now, like, because obviously you can tell from the service stations one that you probably had a lot of people that hit those stations on tours. So give us some service station names.
Oh, I can't even remember which way around it was. It was like Pease Pottage was a service station.
That's a classic one. That's near Brighton.
Yeah, Pease Pottage. Laura, what were the other ones? Cheeverley. Was that a service station or was that a cheese? Sorry, I'm asking Laura. Laura's like, Cheeverley is a good one.
See, you've named 2 there that I am a frequent visitor of. So I would have got there.
Yeah, exactly. And then like the cheeses though, like threw people off. Like there was the first one I had, I remember, was Waldo Smog, because Waldo Smog, it doesn't really sound like a cheese. It kind of sounds like a weird service station name, but I
Yeah.
think it threw people off. But yeah, like I said, that was a really fun round to do.
That's cool. And the thing that, like, apart from both me and you hosting podcasts, being music lovers, and weirdly having simultaneous brain thoughts that we've found out that we have very similar kind of patterns of thoughts, we also have a weird connection with loving Bristol but not living in Bristol. So I just kind of wanted to like get where your kind of love affair for the city and the music scene kind of came from.
Yeah, so it all boils back to two of my favourite people from Bristol, and they were on the quiz on Friday. So Paddy and Damien from the St. Pierre Snake Invasion.
Yeah.
So basically, long story shortened down a lot, we'd seen the St. Pierre Snake Invasion support Future Left in London at the Electric Room. And then St. Pierre, when we walked out, Lee Vincent, who used to be in Porter by the Horses, who now lives in South London, he for a while was putting shows around here, like New Crossing, and this was before like the hardcore shows really started happening. And yeah, picked up this flyer and it was like, oh, the St. Pierre Snake Invasion are playing next month at the New Cross Inn. And we were like, well, it was like £3 or something. And we were like, fuck it, we'll go. We went, and unfortunately it wasn't very busy, but I instantly fell in love with like the St. Pierre Snake Invasion. I think they're one of the most underrated bands in the UK. And then we started chatting to Damien and Paddy outside and just saying that, just saying how much we like the band and stuff, and like instantly became mates. So then me and Laura hadn't been going out that long. Laura had not even moved to, oh no, even before this, before Laura had moved to London, we went to Arctangent Festival. So yes. I'd got invited by a mate to go, our mate Lauren, and then I said to Laura, I was like, oh, you fancy going to this festival? We went to that. So that was the other entry point to my love affair with Bristol. Was Arctangent was such a great festival. I instantly met loads of people. And then obviously when we met the St. Pierre boys, we were like, well, perhaps we should go down to Bristol. And we went, I think it was the next year, they did an Arctangent warm-up show.
Oh, okay.
Like the St. Pierre Invasion, Scalping, No Violet, a couple of other bands. Oh yeah, Physics House Band. It was at the Fleece.
Irk.
Oh, and Irk as well. Oh yeah, Irk did. And yeah, we went to that and ended up hanging out with people again. And yeah, ended up at basically up at a lock-in in a pub. And, yeah, just instantly made loads of bits with people. And then obviously going back to Arctangent every year, all of those people from that scene are there. So it's, yeah, the last sort of 5 years just making friends down there, and then obviously discovering all the great bands that are down there. So we usually go down, me and Laura go down every couple of months to Bristol.
Yeah.
Not at the moment, but yeah, every couple of months we'll go down, we'll find an excuse. Like we went down when McCluskey played, we went down when Hot Snakes played, that was a really good show. And there's so many great venues down there as well. So they get all like the decent tours now. There's, you probably know of Effigy, so like Miles and Keisha, they put on so many good shows that if we can't make the London show, or if there's a show we want to see that's on the weekend in Bristol, we'll make the excuse to go down there instead, just to see mates. So nice to have a change of scene every now and again, just to go down there.
That's the thing, like, I'm very much in the same boat, like, because nothing happens in Portsmouth anymore. So it's either, if it's like a midweek show, then Southampton's my go-to, or Brighton at a push. But if it's like a bigger band and like they're playing on, say, like a Friday or something, obviously this was like post-lockdown and when I was in full-time employment, like I'd go to Bristol on the Friday, and then I'd just make a weekend of it because like my best friend lives there. Like I'd stay with them and just see like all my pals in Bristol every weekend. So it's like it's just such a cool like city. There's like, aside from the music stuff, there's just so much to kind of do and see, and has incredible places to eat, and yeah, it's just a fucking rad city.
Yeah, I always joke to Laura that if I didn't live in London, if I got told that I had to move somewhere tomorrow, it would hands down be Bristol. Move there in a flash for sure.
Well, I was like, my plan was to be there sort of at some point this year, but obviously all this shit has kind of put a stop to that at the moment. So bit wank, but hey ho.
Yeah, you still planning to move down there then?
Yeah, hopefully. Like obviously once all this is over and I kind of have a bit of a lay of the land and see what the fuck is going on, then I'll kind of try and start making moves back to that way. Like thankfully I've got enough friends there that I can sort of stay and do a bit of sofa surfing and stuff if I need to, but we'll wait and see, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I suppose whilst we're talking around Bristol as well, so something I did want to mention is, I've been looking at what you were saying earlier about us having the same brainwaves. Is one of our same brainwaves was doing documentaries and dipping our toe into the water around that. So that's something I want to do in the long term. I'm actually going to start chatting to a couple of mates this week about at least starting to plan something. So yeah, I'd love to make a documentary about it and just interview pretty much everyone that's either involved in that scene or passes through that scene, and just put it down on videotape essentially, and keep it in the archives. It would be really, really cool. So yeah, I could go on and on about Bristol.
Well, just in terms of kind of like your podcast at the moment, like obviously you said you've kind of had to pivot and sort of change how you're kind of using the platform at the moment. So have you got anything else currently sort of in the pipeline, like for kind of quarantine stuff, or like where are you kind of standing at that side of things at the moment?
Yeah, so I've kind of I've got a couple of bands lined up that I'll interview in the next couple of weeks. Luckily, there are still some bands that I already had on my list. I'm probably the same as you. I've got this like huge list of bands that I've always on my wish list to interview.
Yeah.
It's finding obviously the right time and when it fits in with like obviously there's no touring going on at the moment, but like album releases at the moment. So yeah, there's a couple lined up. I think what I'll keep doing is doing the live video interviews as well, because what I found is doing a live one and then obviously converting it and making it into an audio file and then putting it up on Spotify, actually getting more people watching and listening as well. So overall there's like more viewers or more listeners to the podcast. So it's been interesting like doing the whole YouTube live thing, and I think it's working. It's got definitely, when I did the one with Heads, because there are bands that are not associated with our scene at all because they're in a different country. I had like loads of people that have never heard the podcast before like join in. So yeah, it's just finding stuff like that. I've had a couple of like other bands like email me and like reach out to me that are wanting to do stuff. So it's just picking and choosing what I would like to do at the moment, but also I'm not stressing too much about it, because I think what I've seen of everyone else, like you included, everyone's like, it doesn't matter if it's like not perfect or you put something out every week, because at the start of this year I actually made a point of trying to put a podcast out every 2 weeks, and now that can't happen. So I'm very much, it's like just as and when I can get stuff done. So
yeah, and that's kind of like similar to like obviously when I first started it, like I wanted to do an episode every week, and I was consistently, but then obviously I picked up touring a lot more, so it wasn't possible because I was driving a van around, and you don't have time to sort of sit around editing and things like that. And obviously now all of my equipment has just decided to bust. I've ordered new stuff. I'm just waiting for it to arrive at the moment. So hopefully, like, I'll be back up and running sooner rather than later. But at the same time, it's like I'm enjoying doing this over Instagram Live every week at the moment, because it's partly like getting to have a chat with mates and stuff, but also it's that kind of like, I don't know, like I've always found it a bit weird, like when I'm interviewing people that I maybe not necessarily know, like, because obviously I interview a lot more people that are out of the country and stuff, so it is done over Skype, but I always do it just audio because I find it a bit weird, like looking at someone that you don't really know. So I found like doing this has kind of helped my confidence in that. So like in that aspect, then it might be an element I keep. It might be something that like I do sort of YouTube specials or something like that. I haven't thought it through yet, but it's definitely kind of a learning curve, like this whole kind of pandemic sort of, and how to kind of best use the creative platforms that we have, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing like other people dip their toe in the whole interviewing thing. So one that I've been, because they're mates, John, the band John, or John times two if you look him up on Instagram. John Newton's been doing pretty regular just IG chats like this with a lot of bands in the scene that I'm in. He's done one with Falco from McCluskey, who's been on my podcast. He's doing one with Damien actually tomorrow from St. Pierre. And yeah, it's kind of interesting watching, everyone's doing the same thing. They're like, how do I fill this time creatively? And like people in bands who can't make music right now are like, well, fuck it, I might as well chat to my other music mates and at least make some sort of content. But yeah, it's really cool that people are just sort of adapting. Like I keep saying it over and over again, like adapt and evolve in this time. And it's actually, people are putting out some interesting stuff. Like even some bands I know have somehow made music and put it out. There's like stuff that I've seen that I might steal as well. There's an idea about it now, but if anyone's watching this in the next week or so, I might be putting something interesting together, which kind of stolen from another media platform, but just a wicked like lockdown idea. And it's like all the virtual music festivals have been wicked. Like there's the Slay at Home festival this weekend in America, and like Employed on that, and yeah, it was Employed to Serve and two of the guys from Dillinger doing a Deftones cover, which is fucking wicked.
I'm really torn and conflicted with this, because like, as much as like I get that it's a cool idea, and like as you say with the whole Employed to Serve thing, it's throwing up these kind of mixtures of artists and musicians that you would never have kind of seen together in our lives. But at the same time, like, I don't know, just for me personally, like there's a bit of a disconnect, and like, I don't know, just watching like a screen of 4 screens. I know that's kind of like what people are doing now who are watching this, but like, I don't know, just for me, like I can't sit and watch a whole thing of it. Like I can sort of dip in and out and I'll be, oh yeah, that's cool. But like, I don't know, for these whole like online curated festivals sort of thing, I don't know if I could sit and watch the whole thing like you would a real festival sort of thing. I don't know, it might just be my opinion.
I know what you mean. It's like the Slay at Home one, I certainly couldn't sit there for 5 hours and watch it. I kind of just dip in and out of it. One thing that we did the other night with some mates is just watched an old like Rammstein concert that's on Prime, and then we were just like on a Zoom call separately, and that was really fun. Obviously, it's not like being at a Rammstein concert, but it was kind of fun just to watch something with mates and have a chat whilst you're watching it. Like I said, I dip in and out of these things. Like there was another one Laura just said to me in my ear, which our mates Frauds played, but it was like pre-recorded 20-minute set that they did.
Oh, okay.
And we watched that, and I watched a little bit of some of the other sets, but it's a bit overwhelming because they created, I can't remember what it was called now, that festival, but they created like a whole website. There was like 4 separate streaming pages, and I was like,
Oh
this is
God.
a bit much. Yeah, it was like really full on. But yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know, like I think some bands have been doing it like well, like I can never say their name. The
Aranzi Pazuzzi?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Their live stream thing was just absolutely phenomenal. So like I don't know, I guess like, obviously different bands, different circumstances and things like that, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess it's just the whole like missing live music itself kind of thing, and I'm sure you're kind of very much in the same boat because you're very much like me. You'll at any given opportunity, you'll go to about 4 gigs a week if you can, sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the. I know everyone's gone through it, but that was the real depressing thing when lockdown started. Because again, I've got like a note on my phone of all the gigs I've bought tickets for or been to this year. Just have a running thing or tickets I need to buy, and otherwise I can't keep track of anything. And then when lockdown happened, it was like this tour's gone, this tour's gone. Like slowly deleting them off the note, and it was like, oh my God. And it was like talking about Arctangent again. I was like, oh, Arctangent's in August. I hope it will still happen. And then, no, that's done. Summer's done now.
That was the thing. Like Arctangent was like the last shining light, and then unfortunately, like obviously given circumstances, it's totally understandable. But obviously they had to cancel, and it's just sort of like, oh, okay, nothing's happening this summer then.
Yeah, definitely.
But one other thing that I wanted to quickly mention to you is kind of something that I've spoken to you about, an idea I've got for the future, but is both our love for football. And obviously we've kind of seen the Bundesliga back, and obviously they're talking about the Premier League coming back. So have you been enjoying the Bundesliga?
Yeah, so I've been watching all the highlights. I've watched a couple of games because obviously they're on BT Sport, which is really useful, and I've got BT Sport. It was that whole thing when they announced it was coming back, and I know I posted up on Facebook. I was like, what team is everyone picking?
Yeah.
And like everyone's had to adopt the German team, and I picked Hertha Berlin in the end. There was split between a couple of teams, but because I've got a couple of mates in Berlin, and they one of them is like a very avid. I think he might even do some journalism around football. I know he does music journalism. He's a Hertha Berlin supporter, and I was like, well, that's my decision made for me. It's been really good. Like, I never really, to be perfectly honest, I never really watch any other leagues other than the Premier League. Usually, I just don't have the time to sit down and watch all the highlights of like all the other leagues. But I've been really enjoying the Bundesliga, and I definitely think I'll follow it a little bit closer. It's just that it's that need for live sport that I've just read so much about the Bundesliga in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks that I'm kind of bought in now. So I'll probably be buying a Hertha Berlin shirt at some point.
That's it, like, because when I was younger, I used to follow Serie A like a lot because it was on Channel 4.
Yeah, because they used to have Football Italia at the weekends, and I remember me, mum, and dad used to watch it every weekend. And I was a Lazio fan when I was a kid.
See, I was Juventus man all the way. It's all about Alessandro Del Piero. I love that man.
Oh yeah.
But like, it's weird because like, obviously, same to you. Like when the Bundesliga kind of came back, like when again going back to when I was younger, I don't know what possessed me to do it, but we were on holiday in France, and it was weird. There was a market stall that was selling like football shares.
Yeah.
And it was the year that Borussia Dortmund were in the Champions League final.
Oh yeah.
And they had like this garish, like neon yellow, like kit. And I was like, I've got to have that. So like by default, Dortmund have kind of become like my German team. But so that was the fact, like me and my dad sat down and watched that. Was it Dortmund Schalke, the first game that was back on?
Yeah.
And then kind of, I haven't been sort of watching it as avidly, like in terms of like the highlights and stuff. But like every Saturday, me and Dad will sit down and watch one game, and that'll be kind of like my little getting back to the Saturday routine of watching football.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was really gutting because so I'm a Spurs supporter, and I haven't been to the new stadium since it opened, but I've got a couple of mates, guy I used to work with back in the day, who were season ticket holders,
Okay.
and because Spurs had such an up and down season so far, one of them was just really pissed off, and he was like, I don't know if I can go to another home game and be really disappointed. So again, just lockdown ruined my new Spurs stadium, because I was going to for a couple of games. I was going to go to a Man U game, and I think I was going to go to the Arsenal game as well. I think I was going to go to the Derby. So I'm really gutted to not be able to go to the new stadium. So that's one thing after lockdown is I'm going to get in contact with him again and nick his season ticket. So I'm absolutely go.
Fair. Well, before I let you go, Adam, obviously you mentioned you're very, again, like me, you have kind of like a wish list of sort of people that you want to have on the podcast. So, give, like, hypothetically, like, I don't know, opportunity comes that any band, it comes round to your flat and you get to interview them for a while, you get to have dinner with them, whatever. Who is top of that list?
I think there's a couple, and one's just sprung to mind. There's a really obvious one, the Bronx, on my wish list, 100%. I'd love to get Matt from the Bronx on, because every time I've heard him have an interview, he just sounds. I have briefly met him once as well, and he just sounds like a hilarious person to be around.
Yeah.
So he'd probably be top. And one that just popped in my head, because it just popped in my mind, if there was like a quote unquote big artist, I'd like to interview Biffy Clyro, because
that's a good shout.
Because they came from very sort of like DIY roots, and I remember when I saw them for the first time, God, no, 15, 16 years ago, in like a 200 cap room, and that was like when their third album came out. So they're one of these bands that it wasn't like one album and then second album they were massive. They've had like this slow meteoric rise to arena band. And I watch interviews with those guys, and they just seem like good guys and a laugh. So I'd love to sit down with them. There's so many bands I would love to interview, but I suppose like Biffy Clyro is like the slightly unattainable one. Bronx is probably the attainable. Next time Bronx come over, I think I'll definitely try and get in contact and see if I could get them around for a half-hour chat at least.
That's cool. Right, how I've been sort of like signing these off is like, obviously everyone's looking forward to the end of lockdown and the return of live music and stuff, so that's the given. But what's the one thing that you're most looking forward to about kind of coming out of lockdown?
Going for a haircut. I am getting really annoyed. Like my hair, I'm quite fortunate in a way that I've got a good hairline, but it's very thick and it's pissing me off, especially now it's hot and sweaty. One of the first things I'm doing is making an appointment at my barber's and getting a nice short summer haircut for sure. Nice.
Well, Adam, thank you very much for joining me on this one. And hopefully, I'm sure we'll chat about something soon, but hopefully see you very soon as well, my man.
Yeah, it's lovely catching up with you, mate. And we'll chat soon.
Cool. Take it easy, dude.
All right, bud. Bye.